All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to, I'll name this segment later, GTG Spits That Grease, so on and so forth, title forever in the works. But amongst the many surprises that apparently has happened over the last couple of days, we have a sponsor. Big ups to that. We got a sponsor. So let's see here. Let's see if we can get them pulled up. And shout out to Paperweights, who has chosen, well, they have a few suggestions actually, but the one we're going to go with is the Gen Report. So big ups to Paperweights on that, and welcome to the Gen Report, which I actually kind of like that. So what are we talking about today? Apparently yesterday, DSP was expected to have some type of Easter festive situation. He somehow spun that into this big April Fool's prank, which basically it gave him, he used April Fools and Easter as a way of shitting on Wings and Low Tier God for a day, basically to do drama content. Now, honestly, I think there's 4 reasons why this actually happened. You guys ready? You guys ready? I think there's 4 reasons. I'll break each one of them down, but let me just throw the 4 of them out there to you. First reason, Turkey Tom. He's too scared to punch at Turkey Tom, right? And he doesn't have any real way to retaliate against Turkey Tom. And in Turkey Tom's most recent documentary, he said, Turkey himself said that DSP is going to, if not, he's already gravitating towards drama content. DSP, being stupid, actually has proven Turkey Tom right, and the great gobbler, or the gobbler goomer as they call him, he's proven the gobbler goomer right by literally jumping right in. But he thinks that, oh, I went ahead and used Easter as a bait and switch, and it's all just a April Fool's prank, so I really didn't engage in it. But that's one of the reasons. He's mad at Turkey Tom, but he has no way to lash out at him, so he chose to do this. Second reason is Low Tier God and Wings have been irritating DSP. He's been pissed off at both of these individuals because he can't get them to do what he wants. And DSP had said, because I've only kind of skimmed through this shit, but towards the end, he's at the night stream, he basically admits that he needed to get this out of his system, that this has been building up for a while and he needed to release it. That's obsession. That's what that is. Now, he tried to go ahead and explain it in some weird ass way about, oh, I have a craving to do it, so that's why I did it. No, bitch, you're obsessed.
All right, from what I usually would do, and rest assured, if you're someone who didn't enjoy this today, guess what? Tomorrow we're back to normal. This was just for April Fools, for a one-day oddity of weird stuff, and tomorrow we are back to business as usual here on the channel. You don't have to worry about that. Okay? Just so you know. So people freaking out, oh my God, I can't believe that, Phil did this. You're right, this is not my normal stuff. This was meant to be a shock value thing that people would talk about, a one-day only special event. To be honest, I actually debated either doing it the whole day or half the day, but I felt like just do the whole day, just break everything up, do it for a whole day, get it out of my system, and now we can go back to normal stuff tomorrow, okay? Here's the thing. I got to speak my mind about these guys, all right? I got it out of the way, and now I feel like, you know what it is? It's like every once in a while, you get a craving for a McDonald's cheeseburger. And you know that the McDonald's cheeseburger is bad for you. And you know that after you eat it, you're not going to feel good. But you still get the craving. That's actually a good way to put it. Every once in a while, you get that craving for something. And you're like, I know it's bad for me. I know it's not what I normally would do. But I just want to do it. And I said, you know what? This was a good thing to do just for April Fools. No.
You obsess about these men, and you're mad that these men won't do what you want them to do. And you've now turned it into this crazy ass obsession, right? Obsession, sorry. And it's irritating you, and it's constantly irritating you. And that's why you're engaging with that content. And you've been engaging with that content. Just in case you guys forgot, DSP admitted only a week or two ago that he's been Googling LTG and his information, which means he's more than likely been on the Reddit. He may, if he's not too fucking lazy, he may have read the Google Doc that's out there on him. Big ups on that, on the guys who did that shit. He's trying to learn as much as he can about LTG now, because he's trying to use it against them. And then he thinks if he goes ahead and ingratiates himself to the trolls, he'll give him leverage.
Well, it was funny. One time, this was like months and months ago, I just typed into Google. Now, Google uses AI as a summary when you first search. And I typed into Google, what is the real name of LTG? And you want to know what it said? Google AI responded, Dale Wilson. That's actually not true. He actually legally did change his name to DeLon Sparrow. So that's his real name now. But AI doesn't know that. AI will just repeat what the internet says as fact. So you can't use AI as a basis of fact in a court of law. You can't. Oh, he didn't? Is that true? He didn't change his name? I was under the impression he did legally change his name. Well, I don't know if now you're being silly. Someone says he can't afford it. That's ridiculous. Actually, I don't think it costs that much to change your name legally. He's got to change all your documents and shit. But anyway,
let me stop. I'll get to that. So that's what that is. That's the reason why he targeted the two of them, because he didn't go after Rich. He didn't go after Keem. He wants to go ahead and punch on these cats. So that's the reason why he went after them. Third reason is Asmin Gold. As you guys also know, DSP has basically begged for Asmin Gold to show up to his birthday. Come to my 44th birthday party and sit around and talk to me for a little while, Asmin Gold. Please show up to my birthday. So he thinks, oh, well, I'll go ahead and get this drama shit going on a few days before my birthday. Asmin will see it because he knows that everybody's going to clip that shit up all crazy, right? At least for those who didn't tap out. I actually heard that, I'm actually reading it right now, that Alt tapped out a little bit into that. I don't really blame him, to be honest with you. From what I've heard and just what little I saw, it's trash. So I don't really blame him for wanting to put anybody else through it, let alone himself. So big ups to Alt. So I get why he did that. Big ups to Tevin for picking up the baton and keep it pushing, but I don't blame Alt for tapping out on that. That's not really his scene if you think about it, to be honest. If it's not like, you know what I'm saying, like getting into like that deep sludge, like that's not something that Alt normally does. So I get him. I get why he did that. In any case, so yeah, so you're seeing, so DSP's trying to go ahead and get things all spicy on Twitter and hopefully on Reddit, so he can get Asmin Gold's attention, and maybe Asmin's like, oh, what? He was doing some drama content? Oh, okay. Asmin eats that over the weekend. Maybe he even reacts a little bit to it, and then maybe Asmin will answer him on Monday, on his birthday, or whatever the fuck, or at least sends him a fucking pity donation or whatever the case may be. But in particular, it was to try to, I think this was a scheme to get Asmin Gold's attention one way or another. And our fourth reason, and our final reason, and then we'll actually get into some of this bullshit, is he's broke. He's broke as fuck. He's broke as fuck. This right here was the emergency glass break, right? This was the emergency credit card behind the glass case and shit. This was the only way to bring in some money. Now, I don't know how much he made. I'm hearing figures somewhere in the 600s to 700s, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but it's clearly more than he's been making for a while. And for Mr. I'm not poor, I'm doing great, this, that, and third, you missed quite a few goals. And you've been crying, complaining for multiple days that the kick side of it isn't donating. And I'd assume that that's going to continue to escalate, in that Kicks is going to further starve his ass out. So now we needed something that was going to bring in maximum impact, or at least what he was hoping. And that was this, because apparently he wanted, he wanted to hit 5 goals at the $150 mark, even though he memed up about something about 170, whatever the fuck. But he initially said that he wanted $150, 5 goals hit, that's $750. He wanted the same thing on the wing stream later on, 750 times 2 is 1,500. What is that? That's the typical goal. That was the typical 10 goals hit for a DSP tries it. That was a tried and true method that DSP was doing until he sat there and dropped that shit to go ahead and suck off Asmin Gold and give Asmin Gold a free 1 million+ views. So, you know what I'm saying? So now DSP wanted to test the waters and see if does that still work. If we went back to the goal format, would it work? And theoretically it will, if he goes to it. Will this drama content help push? Is there still some interest for people to see me try to do react content? Okay, that might work. I'm told that Lumix, big ups, Lumix showed up into the chat. I don't think he gave him any money, but he showed up in the chat or whatnot, and whatever. So he's saying that he's already talked to a few people behind the scenes. So you're seeing the groundwork ladies and gentlemen, that's actually being laid out for all that. So that's what it is. That's the 4 different reasons why all this shit happened. Trying to retaliate against Turkey Tom in the documentary, wanted to get at Wings and Low Tier God because they won't do what he's saying or what he wants. Go ahead and try to get Asmin Gold's attention, and apparently we broke. Because tax season is right around the corner, given all the money he made off the stimulus package, off the Asmin Gold stimulus package, yeah, you're going to pay what you owe. And the government wants all that and some. And then I also heard DSP's nonsense about renovations and his house is worth so much, whatever. Anyway, that's our 4. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and chop this chicken up. Well, not chicken, sorry. I mean, we do got some chicken in here because LTG's here. But let's go ahead and chop this bacon up. Let's go ahead and cut this pig, cut into this pig. So, as it pertains to the Turkey Tom situation, why didn't you just react to the Turkey Tom documentary, Phil? Why did you sit there and choose to go over Low Tier God content, troll content, by the way, and fucking Wings content? Why didn't you just go ahead and attack the fucking Turkey Tom documentary directly? Why didn't you stand 10 hooves on that shit and go right at fucking Turkey Tom's neck? See, because you don't really have nothing on him. Because the recent shit with the allegations, if you know, you know. If not, I'll talk about it on stream, or you know, go to your favorite commentator's favorite commentator, and they'll lay all that out to you. Outside of some very outside of some behavior that Turkey Tom should know better, and sticking your dick in the crazy, he essentially really didn't do anything. So at least not to the extent that the 2 females were saying. DSP can't use that. That's not tangible. Because LTG tried to do that before Turkey Tom made his response, and everything came out, and Low Tier God shut the fuck up too. So if that put Dale down, then obviously DSP ain't gonna do that either. He don't want that old yeller treatment, so he decided to shut the fuck up. So he has no way of retaliating, and he's definitely not gonna want to look at something that's gonna make him look like a complete and utter fucking fool, right, on his stream. I was actually surprised that he actually reacted to the Lummings video to the Lummings video, which basically depicts, I just did a video on this, which depicts DSP reacting to Wings and Wings' homeboys, saying that he was talking to Panda when she was 17, which is what happened, by the way. But I'm surprised that DSP even chose to do that, but he needed some type of leverage. We'll get to that when we get to that. So he wasn't brave to go at Turkey Tom, and he knows he's not going to be able to pull no views or siphon any views off of it. And more importantly, anybody in Turkey Tom's audience isn't going to listen to him. So it was a not even a war of attrition. It was basically a lol cow genocide with basically DSP taking all the casualties. The Snort fort and everything else was lucky to be standing because, fortunately, Kat has enough buoyancy that she was able to fucking fight off the trebuchets and all the siege equipment that came that way. That was it. That was the only reason why he decided to go into drama content yesterday. That's the only reason why he decided to pull his little bait and switch bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Because he had no other way to retaliate. Oh, Turkey Tom says that I'm already leaning into drama content. Well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to show him, and I'm going to be successful at it. I bet you that's what he was thinking. Now, obviously, at the time I'm recording, DSP has a little fucking bottom bitch podcast, so the fucking bitch ass fucking morning show hasn't started yet. So I'll find this. There'll be a follow up to this when he's ready to explain himself. But for right now, as I'm sipping my SnortBucks coffee, you know what I'm saying, best beverage company, I'm gonna go ahead and move the way I want to move. Now, so that's the situation with the Turkey Tom situation. He had no way to retaliate, so he tried to lean in and try to be his best at it, I suppose. Now, let's move into fucking Low Tier God and Wings. Let's talk about that nonsense. And to illustrate that, we're going to illustrate this shit here. Oh boy. Okay, so DSP being super mad at fucking LTG and apparently not exactly getting all of the AI prompts right or whatever, felt that it was a good idea that to hide behind Easter and have a black man on his knees kneeling. Okay, that's an interesting way of going about it. Do you, king? But that's an interesting way to play that. LTG isn't paying no attention to him. He's not taking him seriously. Dale has no reason to. DSP has already been absorbing a bunch of troll content, LTG content, troll content, I should say. So he was going to move with it. and whatnot. He's going to try to poke the bear and see if he can get nothing out of it. And truth be told, the worst thing that could happen is if Dale doesn't say anything. What DSP's hoping is that some of Dale's, you know, in his inner circle are going to be like, yo, look at all this crazy shit that DSP's saying about you. Next stream, he's hoping Dale blows up and they can have a nice little back and forth to fill up all these spots, because yet again, money ain't coming through. These games ain't working out, whatever. The drama is a utility now. Okay, this is utilitarianism. Everybody has a purpose until you don't. So this is all this is with Dale. And he knows he can pull good numbers off Dale. And DSP thinks, for whatever reason, that he has LTG trolls on his side. That's why he's trying to ingratiate himself, and that's why he did that whole thing about, oh, all the videos I'm going to use, I'm going to make sure I shout out who they are and everything. I want to make sure everybody gets their proper credit. Now, one can make the argument that, oh, well, he doesn't want to get copyright striked. But a troll's more than likely not going to do that. But Dale might. And I'm being told that in the first pre-stream leading up to this, when people were asking him, hey, what are you going to do if fucking Dale decides to copyright strike you? Because he's good for that. DSP started to get real shaky. He started to stutter a little bit, this, that, and the third. And the reason why was a couple reasons. One, that's what DSP would have done if he could get away with it. He can't get away with it no more. Two, Dale don't care if you know or not. Low tier God's willing to stand on business when it comes down to striking people. He's got no problem with doing that. He's going after Stale right now. Like, Stale had to private some of his stuff for Stale's one of his troll channels. He's going ahead and privating some stuff, or he's unlisted some stuff for the moment, but eventually he's going to get everything back up because he knows Dale's about to come after him, or he did come after him. But so, you know, Dale will really stand on business when it comes to that bullshit, much to his deficit, but semantics. DSP understands this more than anything. I can give you actual proof on that. Remember when DSP was in his early reactive state, or arc, if you will, and he was reacting to all the June the King stuff, trying to butter June up and also siphon views and subs off of the search engine and algorithm. And this was after the Wings of Redemption reaction to the Down the Rabbit Hole. He wanted to react to all of Dale's stuff that June did too. He actually reached out to Dale and asked him for permission, just like he did with Wings. Dale said, no, there's a bunch of inconsistencies and falsehoods, this, that, and the third. I would appreciate it if you didn't do that. And DSP, as racist as he is, decided to be like, yeah, yes, master. Okay. Oh, no problem. No problem, Mr. Dale. No problem. No problem, sir. No problem, sir. I won't do that. And he didn't. But see, DSP don't like bowing down to black people. He don't like respecting black people. He don't like respecting anybody really who's not fake ass Italian like himself. So he's been itching to get back in that. And that's what the situation with Dale was with that whole thing yesterday. I didn't get a chance to watch all of it. I just know that he saw his AI shit and he said it was racist and all those stereotypes, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because DSP has joked about those same, allegedly joked about those same stereotypes. So I don't understand why DSP would have a problem with it. It's weird, and it's not actually mutually exclusive to DSP, but it's crazy to see a racist react to another racist who's really willing to go there about themselves. Let's reword that. For some reason, people who are racist have a real problem or are real uncomfortable with with somebody else being racist on themselves or to their own race. I don't know why that is, because you don't mind saying all that bullshit, but you got a problem with someone else who's actually part of that fucking culture saying that shit. That for some reason they don't jive with that. It's really, really strange if you ever decide to look into it, because there's a bunch of guys online who are like that. They really are uncomfortable about other races shitting on their own race and whatnot, while they're like, well, wait, why would you do that? I mean, you don't mind doing it, so you're okay with it, but they can't shit on their own people? Whatever. That's what DSP displayed yesterday, for whatever strange ass reason. So, but the point of that, ladies and gentlemen, is by him painting the narrative or attempting to paint that narrative, he wants that June the King doc. That's what he wants, because he saw what he got off Wings. And he thinks he can get that off LTG. And if he can get it, then he thinks he'll get the support off the LTG trolls too. He won't, but whatever. Let him choose his own adventure, and we'll see what happens when he gets there, if he gets there. So that's the reason why the LTG situation goes on. But it's all for naught, to be honest, if he doesn't get fucking LTG to respond. If LTG just completely ignores that shit, or at least doesn't give DSP enough for him to be able to react on it on a fucking morning show or on his Bottom Bitch podcast, then it doesn't mean anything. He's just been completely and utterly disregarded. So it means nothing about nothing. So that's what the situation is with our boy Dale. Now let's go over here with Wings. Now Wings, well, another thing too, actually, another reason actually, he keeps targeting LTG, and he chose to go about it the way he's choosing to go about it is because he can't buck break Dale. He can't make Dale bend to his whims or to his will, and it pisses him off even more. But he also can't go at him straight up either. You know what I mean? He can't do that. He really can't go video for video. He can't go insult for insult without getting racist. And with that being said, DSP, I'm going to tell you right now, just call Dale the N-word and get it over with. I said this months ago. I'm one of the first people to say it, if not the first. Just go ahead and say it. He's already expecting it, and he don't care, to be honest. Most people don't. Even the few detractors that want to defend you and say that you're not racist, they'll more than likely just completely and utterly wave past that shit and keep it pushing. So in reality, no one cares. Everybody already knows you're a racist piece of shit. Just own it. Just call them it and get it over with. You'll feel a lot better when you do. Just like when the day you said to bring your ass out of the closet, you'll feel a lot better and whatnot once you go ahead and embrace what you are and who you are. So with that being said, let's move over to DSP's next victim, Wings. So Wings is being targeted and will continue to be targeted because he's a soft target. He's the weakest out of the three. And he's the one that if he feels, DSP, it feels that if he puts enough pressure on and keeps enough pressure on, eventually Jordy's going to break. He thinks that that's what's going to happen. And that's why DSP early on started to try to separate him from his mods, try to separate him from the people that he games with. Oh, those people really aren't on your side. They're just trolls in disguise. You can't really trust them. You should listen to me. Your wife is just enabling you. She doesn't give a fuck about you, because if she did, she wouldn't let you be like that. So you can barely trust her either. I mean, you need her to take care of you, but you really can't really trust her too. Trust her either. You need to listen to me. Oh, fucking Keemstar and Boogie and the whole LCU. Look at how they treated you. Look at the situation that they put you through and they keep wanting to put you into. You can't really depend on them. You just need to listen to me. DSP's been doing that with Wings damn near since day one. And it's not subtle. It's just there's so much garbage that goes on in the fucking Snorty vortex that it's hard to keep up with a lot of it. But he's been he's been trying to separate Wings from everybody else since damn near Jump Street. Leading up to the first interview that they had, and let alone that fucking gay ass late night conversation that they had and shit. Well, early morning for Wings. Well, the morning really for Wings. And late night for fucking DSP. So this is no different. This is just another thing. And what he's hoping is, yet again with the LTG thing, it's not just a matter of will he respond, but also can he get him at least frustrated or get Wings intrigued enough to talk to him again, which is what DSP wants. He wants to get him into another interview on the Bottom Bitch podcast, on his dead ass platform. And this is just another way of doing so. That's all it is. Wings is the weaker of the three. And yet again, if DSP gets Wings, then he thinks he's going to have leverage over Keem later. And then he may even think he might have some leverage with Dale or LTG, because Wings actually respects Dale. Even though he was talking shit about Dale and his money situation recently. I'm going to go over that video too. But because I think that's a Breaking Banquet video now I think about it. Lumix might have it too, but I know it's definitely a Breaking Banquet video. But either case, he was talking about that. There is a lot of lolcow on lolcow violence going on right now. So, and DSP is just trying to take control over all of it. And the reality is, when it comes to both Low Tier God and Wings, is DSP is just trying to formulate his own version of lolcow live. He's trying to go ahead and get his own little knockoff version of the Kino Casino. You know what I'm saying? If he can get them to play ball. And he can't, because neither one of them want to deal with him, because they understand what kind of fucking problem he is. And that right there goes without saying. So anyway, his shots at Wings are yet again him playing. I don't even want to give him the credit of it being the long game. He's just a petulant child crying out to another child who won't play with him, even though he looks down at this child saying, oh, well, you're poor, or you have less than I do, or your clothes aren't as great, or you don't have the best Wolverine toy. But for some reason, you still want to play with him though. Like you're quick to point out all of his faults, but you still want to deal with him. Same thing with Dale or with LTG. You were quick to point out all of his faults, his faults, how fake he is, how fraudulent he is, how much of a liar he is, and all this, that, and the third, and yet you still want to do business with him. So if that's what these people are to you, then what's it say about you to want to fucking get in bed with them? Ain't that fucking crazy? I'm not the only one who's thought that, right? Maybe that's just me. But anyway, that's all part of this fucking weird little lol-cow Cold War that's going on between these three. That's all this is. It's nothing more than that. And yet again, it feeds into point number one about how, yet again, DSP is mad at fucking Turkey Tom, but he's not brave enough to respond to anything that Turkey Tom has put out, meaning, or i.e., reacting to the documentaries. So go ahead and abuse these two, because DSP is already obsessing about both of these guys anyway. So, you know, if I can't get it, if you can't get at Turkey Tom, then go ahead and get at these two instead. That's all this is, as it pertains to, excuse me, that's what it pertains about LTG and fucking, Wings of Redemption, to be honest. All right, let's back to our schedule. So third person is Asmin Gold. So Asmin Gold, believe it or not, is actually the bigger catch in the short term, but hopes of long-term ramifications and benefits. So remember that DSP is still obsessing and still holding Asmin Gold to this notion of, excuse me, if you're ever going to do that gaming podcast, I want to go on this, that, and the third. Also, yet again, this is really about money and exposure. He thinks that, hey, if I can get Asmin Gold to give me one shot, there's no reason why he can't give me another. Now, here's the thing. When you think about his whole birthday invitation bullshit, if he knew Asmin Gold wasn't going to show up, he wouldn't say anything. But he did it to humor. He basically did it to humor the person in the hopes that maybe Asmin Gold would actually respond. But he knows that wasn't going to be enough. He needs something to ensnare Asmin into really paying attention to him outside of his pathetic little plea to show up on his birthday. That's what this whole event was. That was the snare and whatnot. Because truth be told, and DSP's not thinking about this, so I understand. Some of you are probably like, you're giving DSP way too much credit, but hear me out. He's not thinking about this. But I'm thinking about this. Between the Turkey Tom situation, the birthday invitation nonsense, and then this whole drama stream, more than likely, Asmin Gold's gonna see one of the three. This is me thinking this. DSP's not thinking this, but this is what I'm thinking. So at best, Asmin Gold reacts to a little bit of the Turkey Tom situation, or if not the whole thing, or he hears about the drama stream that DSP did yesterday and reacts to snippets of that, and that will be the real ensnarement. That's what I think he's banking on, at least the drama part. But if the Turkey Tom shit happens, then that leads right to this drama stream anyway. So it all flows together either which way, no matter how you play it. Now, yet again, I'm not saying DSP planned it that way. I'm just saying that's pig luck, to be honest. That's just how it is. That's pig luck. Now, keep in mind, none of that could happen and Asmin Gold may not show up, which for DSP, it still doesn't matter because it just gives him more time to let this shit circulate, and maybe he catches up with Asmin later on. Especially once that Turkey Tom video hits 1 million or 1 million plus, whatever it's at wherever it's at the moment. So we'll have to wait and see on how that pans out. But that's all that is. It's just to get Asmin Gold's, attention, get another interview, get some more confirmation on the podcast, to keep contact. Because my guess is, and I'm pretty sure DSP's already confirmed this, he's been trying to reach out to Asmin Gold since the first time they talked to each other, and Asmin Gold's not paying attention to him. And the reason why is because Asmin Gold doesn't have to. He already has his inboxes flooded daily. So DSP went in the spam and then got deleted, I'm sure. And I'm not saying that Asmin Gold deleted it. I'm saying after so many messages, it probably just got deleted. And so this is DSP's only way of kind of reaching out to him. And realistically, this all goes back to the Kino Casino situation, because the Kino Casino stimulus package was 8+ months. That was 8+ months of being carried, being comforted, being handheld or hooved held or whatever the fucking situation is. DSP needs that. The month or two buzz that he got off Asmin Gold, all well and good, great, but it wasn't enough to carry forward and to satiate the thirst, or the hunger as I like to call it, which is DSP's greed, because that's what it is. It's really a thirst and or hunger, or both, and that wasn't enough it was enough to appease it for the time being, but it didn't satiate it. So now he needs another hit. Like a junkie, he needs another hit of it, and he needs this hit to last. So chasing the proverbial golden dragon, if you will, but he needs more, and he needs it to hit hard this time. And because DSP ain't sat there and overspent, and now he's running around here saying money's good and he doesn't mind missing goals, it's not that big of a deal. We can always quit one game and start a new one, and then circle the block back on it later, circle the Goutopia later on that shit. And that's not actually panning out in practice. You know what I'm saying? It's not panning out at all. And truth be told, him doing this whole drama stream situation in the first place proves that. He's not practicing what he preaches. He's just snorting loudly into the void and hoping that he hears it back. That's all it is. It reeks of desperation. And Asmin Gold will see that, just like everybody else did. Like, yet again, I respect the fact that Alt bowed out early, because it was performative at best, and it just reeked of desperation and just sadness in the reality of it. And and fucking Alt wasn't gonna sit around for that bullshit, and he wasn't gonna put his audience through that. That's only gonna fucking hurt him and his bottom line. So, you know what I'm saying? There's no point in doing that, especially when they have a that being said that's going to happen later today. So he definitely doesn't need to be hitting people with fucking DSP fatigue or exhaustion leading up to this show that he has coming up. So just from a business standpoint, I can understand where Alt's coming from on that. So, you know, I get it. I respect that 100%. So with that being said, that's the whole situation with Asmin. It's just desperation and greed and just hoping that something can stick. Now that leads to our fourth and final situation. He broke his shit. He's broke as shit, and we all know it, and he know it. And if he wasn't, he wouldn't have done this drama shit in the first place. Yet again, this was that broken emergency, break the glass, pull out the magic credit card, and now we can go ahead and swipe. And that's all that was. And DSP can say whatever, oh, I didn't really enjoy doing this, I didn't really do this, that, and the third, I don't like doing this, that, and the third. That's bullshit. You went out and found the videos. Well, you said that the videos were recommended to you. Then you said you went out and found the videos. Whatever. Then you went out of your way to download the Breaking Banquet and Lummox videos with the different intros and shit, so you can put those as your pop-ups, right? Then you said that you were actually, then you said that you were doing further research on other clips, and then you asked other people, hey, should I go with this? Does this fit? This, that, and the third. Now, I don't know who you were speaking to. You didn't say it either. So that right there opens up Pandora's box to some interesting shit. But it's very clear that you've been working on this for a while. You always had this planned. This wasn't just something that you thought of at the last minute. You've been working on this for a minute. It all looks last minute and disoriented and lazy because that's DSP's brand. But if you actually listen to him, at the post of each one of those slop streams, he really is laying out how long and how much fucking effort he kind of put into all this shit. This took time, and he really thought about it. It just happens that he's using recent enough shit to go ahead and feed into the narrative that it seems like it was on impulse. But he's been thinking about doing this for a while. He just was looking for probable cause, and that's all this is. So going ahead and doing the Easter thing and whatnot, thinking everybody it's gonna be some meme ass game or whatever positivity and all that other lame ass shit, and then going ahead and pulling the rug from under everybody, or going ahead and pulling the fucking tablecloth from under everybody or from people, and saying, oh, we're doing drama shit, and his whole little king stick and all this whole nonsense, him trying to resurrect the Kino Casino era dark side Phil and whatnot, hoping to drum up some drama and whatnot. That was always going to be the play, because according to DSP, when he had his three-pronged plan, the drama content was always there, and it was always something that he could do, and it's something that's always in his back pocket. He was planning on doing this, and he'll probably do this whenever he's down bad. Whenever he's down bad, and there's a lol cow around him, at least of the three for him, which is Review Tech USA, Wings of Redemption, and Low Tier God, that he can go ahead and get a piece of, he gonna do it. And he's laying, and I'll even go further than that, because my next video I'm about to record, I'm gonna talk about it. DSP is laying down the groundwork to get into trying to do his own quote unquote detractor content. This is the KO creation, community creation program all over again, essentially. He's just gonna do it with detractor content. And like I said, he thinks he's good with the Wings trolls. He thinks he's good with the LTG trolls. He's okay with quote unquote being used by them to try to piss off Wings and LTG. And both of those guys, as much lol cow pieces of shit as they are, they already peep game on that. They already understand that shit. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. And in reality, the trolls already know. DSP is not going to bring them any more views by reacting to their stuff. I mean, they're going to make content out of him regardless. If they were going to make a video on him, they're still going to clip a video and make the video on him. If not, then if not. End of story. Now, yet again, lol cow on lol cow violence is to be encouraged, for sure. You know what I'm saying? Big ups to Mikey no more. For sure. And I'm all about this lol cow animal farm where these guys are going to cut each other down piece by piece. I'm cool with that too. Speaking of which, there's supposed to be like an animated movie coming out about that, but there's no way they're going to base that shit off the book. But we'll see. We'll see how they play that. But in any case, so I'm all about this, but it's not going to work that way. It's not. It's not going to play out like that. You know what I'm saying? The trolls are going to sit there and they're going to watch it all, laugh, clip, keep it pushing. The farms are going to be the farms, laugh at everybody, shit on everybody, and keep it pushing. And the detractors at the end of the day are gonna have their win, because for those who are going through a drought or find that the content is becoming so egregious and are going through some type of fatigue over it, this gives them a boost in the short term, which could be stretched in the long term, depending on how the content is padded out. And it just moves from one arc to another. That's all this is. But it's not going to benefit DSP in the long term. In the short term, it will. In the long term, it won't. And then at the end of the day, just as I started with the beginning of this, Turkey Tom initiated all this. Because to prove Turkey Tom wrong, because he couldn't fight back against him, DSP did exactly what Turkey Tom said he was going to. Lean into the fucking drama content. Which is what he did. On top of, like I said, he's broke. So he had an axe to grind, he had a bunch of targets, and so he chose to do it. And that's literally all this all comes down to. It's no more meaningful than that. This isn't going to be a once in a while type situation. DSP is clearly obsessing about doing this stuff. He's just looking for probable cause to do it. And he's being very blatant about it. Because his whole nice guy, no goals, all that bullshit, it doesn't work. And he sees it now. Because if he doesn't have a stimulants check that's guaranteed, that's standing behind him, he's on his own and he's up to his own devices. Those devices don't mean shit. So now we need to do something, but he doesn't want to react to his own troll content. He doesn't want to react to his own detractor content. But I got LTG though. I got Wings. I got Review Tech USA. I'll go at them. Now, most of you are probably asking, you're probably not. You're probably not actually, and I don't blame you. But most of you might be like, well, why didn't he go at Review Tech USA? Why didn't he pull up? He has troll channels. He's got Ozzy Cobbs. He's got Hollywood Huggy. He's got Review Clips USA. He's got a bunch of guys. There's actually quite a few people that clip LT. You have Critique the Critic. You have a few guys out here who are on Review Tech USA's neck. Why didn't he go after Review Tech? Or why didn't he go after Rich? Rich is back pocket because DSP still thinks he can use Rich against Kino Casino later. So he's holding him off and whatnot. That's what it is. Because DSP knows that Rich is still reacting to DSP content, or his content at the very least, whatever, his troll content. So, you know what I'm saying? At the moment, he's just going to keep doing what he's going to do, because now, instead of Rich doing it and actually having a good time going over detractor content, now it's become a crutch. That's the funny part about you guys who haven't been keeping up with Review Tech USA. When he does DSP content, you can tell it's a crutch for him now. It's not something that he chooses to do. It's something that he needs to do. And that right there is a direct result of sitting there fucking around with that whole, getting mad over that whole Mike Klum situation, which led to him having the beef with Snort Hogan, Hate Army, Shinko, Meerkat, Agent Proper, and all that. And then that led into the nonsense that came up with the situation with Sly, which led to the situation with Ames, and which it led, well, actually, I'm jumping ahead. It's all the detractor nonsense. Then it was Jay. Then that led into everybody else. That led into 8-Bit Eric, what's that guy's name? Smash JT, and then all of that. Then Sly ends up coming in, and then so on and so forth. So it leads into all that. All that shit could have been avoided if he hadn't just paid Jay off and just been done with it. Which is what he ended up, allegedly, he ended up doing anyway. So now Rich has no choice, even though he's completely and utterly squandered all of his opportunities as it pertains to the detractors. He has no choice but to sit there and go at it. Because Rich doesn't react to Wings detractor content or troll content, or to low tier God either. And sometimes he's over there watching that LCU stuff. But that's only sometimes, because for some strange reason, despite all Akeem's claims about not believing into flagging people or whatever, for some reason these channels are getting hit with harassment, with community, with harassment and something else, complaints and whatnot, or strikes. It's funny how that's been happening a lot lately, especially around Amberlynn Reed, but now it's starting to extend to other people. Very, very strange. Semantics. We'll talk about that another time. So this right here is the importance of, in some ways, of looking at the entire landscape of the locales that you're in and who's kind of floating around in it, because it really helps tell the story. It really helps tell the story. So that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is my 4 points on why that whole situation yesterday happened. Like I said, I can always, I'll wait until the Bottom Bitch podcast later today. I'll see if he says anything remotely interesting, and I'll do a video on that, or I'll talk about it on stream, or both. Why not? But that's what I think the situation is. It's all in pretty poor taste, in that it's just straight desperation. DSP being a hypocrite doesn't surprise anybody, nor should it. And truth be told, he's a sad little old man that's doing what he can. You know what I'm saying? His whole little success bullshit is just that, it's bullshit. If LTG is a fraud, DSP is an even bigger fraud. And this whole drama shit proves it. LTG can pull numbers if he decides to shit on DSP, but he chooses not to do it because it's a waste of his motherfucking time. It might be good in the short term, but in the long term, he's feeding his energy into something that he don't need to. This isn't me standing up on nothing for LTG, fuck him. But the truth is the truth. He'd be wasting his time doing it. Wings is no different. Wings actually sees that even more clearly than fucking LTG probably does. And Wings don't want no fucking parts of this shit. Not because he can't win, because it's not worth fighting. And DSP's the only one who's like, I'm the one that has all these people orbited around me. You guys react to all this content that's made about me, this, that, and third, but none of you want to talk to me. You're not meant to be talked to. That's what the situation is. You're not a person. You're content. You're meant to be molded and manipulated in any what way for people to garner their entertainment and then shut that shit off and move on with their life. That's what the reality is. You are nothing more than a tool. You are nothing more than a utility. And DSP don't like that. And if he can't get a response out of fucking Asmin, out of fucking Wings, or out of DSP, or out of Low Tier God, we'll see how that shit continues to simmer up more and more and more, and how DSP is going to look for a reason to release on those people if he can't get them to do what he wants, because that's what the buildup is. And if this birthday marathon or whatever the fuck doesn't do the numbers that he's looking for, which I would guess is about $1,500, if not more, if it don't do that, Watch how big mad he is the few days after that. Because if he only pulls $300 or $400, he's gonna be hella disappointed, and that's if he can even pull that. So we'll see. But that's my thoughts. All this shit was just desperation, and maybe even a primer for his birthday. Maybe it's a interesting choice. That's an interesting choice to try to bleed them this early on. But at the same time, he's trying to test the market, and he's trying to see what the market's willing to bear. And to be honest, it's not willing to bear much. So that's my thoughts. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I've gone ahead and talked your ear off enough. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I appreciate this. This has been, I'll name the segment later, GTG Spits That Grease, the Gen Report, and whatnot. Big ups to Paperweight, and or Paperweights, sorry. Big ups to Paperweights, and I'll catch you guys for the next one, which I'm about to record right now. And like I said, take care of yourselves, people. Later. Oh, man.